Hello creatives, Lauren here with Lauren Elizabeth Animal Art. This is a highly requested tutorial on pet portrait backgrounds. So today, using 17 different pet portraits, I'm hoping I can boost your creativity, help you add more interest and color to your pet portraits. Here we go. Now the first one is a wood floor and pillow with the added teddy bear background. I like to try and pull things from the pet's environment, and so I added more yellow to this brown wood floor and really pulled out those violets in the pillow, making them a bit on the warm side to just continue with that warm, comfy, cozy feeling. Now a little twist to that is adding a wood floor, but then having the side of a door, and then also a wall that's very colorful, and then adding little accents of color in that wood. Like once that brown of the wood dried, I added just little dabs using a dry brush with pinks and turquoise from that wall. Now, who said wood had to be brown? I decided to make this wood blue. You could even change the color of that chair or that table or the blanket. And I recommend doing it in a way that complements the colors in the pet. For example, this blue pulls out the oranges in this corgi. Now, another way to spruce up your background and your foreground is by adding flowers. Like here, I added these siblings in a poppy garden. Two very minimal colored dogs in contrast with such a bright, vibrant, complementary background. Now go a bit further, add in more themes, like this one is a fairy princess garden with the red mushrooms, daisies, and I added even more interest with those little wisps of light and a very fluffy, almost rhythmic pattern clouds to that background. And so there's not so much of the negative space in the upper right corner. I added a butterfly. Now this is a tortoise commission I did, and we ended up, the client and I turned it into a tortoise and hare scene. Isn't that so neat? So just maybe you can connect the animal you're painting with one of your favorite childhood fairy tales. Now on that flower theme, so that you don't overwhelm the viewer with too much color and too much detail, keep the background maybe a little simple with maybe one or two colors that you fade from dark to light. And then to contrast all that color, you use maybe a white or light gray, a very muted color flower to place in the foreground. Another option is adding a very blurry background. Now for this painting, I definitely had to do a lot of asking the client and hunting for reference photos, but what I eventually landed on is a very blurry, foggy, dewy forest morning. Depending on the client, sometimes it takes me days to figure out exactly what I'm going to add to the background, so don't give up. Just like this one, I used a lot of different reference photos to help me paint this tulip field. I applied a very dark blue-green base and then kept those strands, those brush strokes at the front, very long of light green for the grass. And can you notice it's not that realistic because usually tulips are really tall, they're not short and around the level of the grass, but depending on how you apply detail in the foreground and how you blur the background and the sizing, you can actually make something that is not real life look realistic. Now sometimes all you need is some dabs of color. I'm zooming in real close so you can see this. Dabs for the trees and dabs for the flowers. To help balance this a little bit, I added the ferns or the straw in front of the horse and added lots of detail to the horse. Now if you're a little intimidated about a full body pet portrait, just place it in a chair or around a blanket. If you choose to add more detail to that chair or blanket, keep a more minimal, simple background. Just like I did here with this little Chewini portrait, I added 3 different colored stripes to that simple blanket and then a very plain blue background. Now, if the animal has stripes, why not add stripes of a different color to the blanket? And on that blanket theme, you could also vary the texture. This is a crocheted blanket with patches of different colors. Over top, this very furry with long, curly, and straight fur. Now, what if you applied a 2 different colored background, where it's one color fading, blended into another, and it still needs something? Well, over top that, you can add things like symbols, or insects, or flowers, or paw prints. Adding that rhythmic repetition can also add balance and interest to a painting. Now here's a similar idea with the background, but I didn't add anything over top that background. Instead, I added a neat design, a foliage design to the cat's bandana. And what if you kept the background simple and then added a unique pattern to the blanket? The direction that's slightly tilted these boxes adds just a little bit of interest, something different to this portrait. Now, what if that pet has passed away? You could add some clouds, some heavenly clouds to the background, a rainbow, or why not combine the two? Create kind of like rainbow clouds. You could add some birds over top that, or some stars, a sunshine peeking out from behind the clouds. And last but not least, what if you tied in one of your favorite movies? Here, I pulled in the movie Harry Potter. I added the sorting hat, the golden snitch, and the Gryffindor scarf, all things the client loved and approved, and it turned out great. Now, if you'd like to learn how to paint pets, both colorful and realistic, even as a beginner, I have a free painting guide and a mini course to go along with it. It's entirely free. I've linked it in the description of this video. But guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.